If you're anything like me, you got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Via the anime. You either watched it as a kid and you were like, Mom, I want some of those cards, or you watched the anime and you were intrigued. But my story is a little bit different. So I watched the anime as a kid, didn't know what the hell was going on, and then didn't see it again for like another couple of years, I think. And I bought some cards, still didn't know how to play the actual game, didn't even know there's actual rules, just thought like you just collected them, like Pokemon cards. And then at the end of 2019 did I realize that there's an actual trading card game. I got into it, started getting more cards, and then in 2020 to 2021 I started to get more into the game. I started to play more decks, more strategies, got more familiar with the rulings. And then in 2021 was when I started playing in tournaments. Somewhere in between 2019 and 2021, I watched the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 anime, which is the 5th anime series, which has the character called Yuto. Yuto he plays Phantom Knights, and if you don't know what Phantom Knights are, they're basically just a rank 3, rank 4 spam deck that in more recent years has become more link based. So you link them off, and then you create like Cherubuni, they have Rustic Bardiche, really insane deck. I always loved Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. When Yuto summoned Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon for the first time, got goosebumps. And ever since then, I've always wanted to build Phantom Knights. And in more recent years, Phantom Knights have gotten a lot cheaper as they've kind of fallen out of competitive viability and have more become a rogue strategy. And today, that's what we're here to talk about, my Phantom Knights.
ファントムナイツラウンジを発動。このカードとダークリベリオンエクシーズドラゴンを素材にランクが一つ高いモンスターをエクシーズ召喚する。煉獄の底より今が静まるに魂に捧げる反逆の歌永遠に響かせ現れよ。ランクアップエクシーズチェンジ。いでよランク5ダークレクエクシーズドラゴン。
Alright, so this is the Phantom Knight list so far. It's not 100% complete. I'm not 100% satisfied with it. Through playtesting, I've found things that I've wanted to change, like certain ratios and getting different cards and mixing it up really. But for now, this will be the list I'll be going with for now. Starting off with the main deck, we have 3 copies of the Phantom Knights Torn Scales. You can discard 1 card, send a Phantom Knights card from your deck to your graveyard except itself, and then if another Phantom Knights card in your graveyard is banished while this card is in your graveyard, you special summon this card, banish it when it leaves the field. This can honestly be one of your starters, as it can not only get your Phantom Knights that you prefer not in your hand but in your graveyard out of your hand. It can also act as Foolish Burial for any of your Phantom Knight cards. This card is amazing, and it was expensive upon release for a very good reason for the Phantom Knight strategy. Next, 3 of the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. Basically an extender that more often than not you end up really wanting this card in your hand, and if you hard open it, like you use less resources to get it into your hand. So if you control the Phantom Knights monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can only special summon it using that effect once per turn. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard, add a Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Now that is pretty important to make the distinction of the Phantom Knights and Phantom Knights. The Phantom Knights, for example, Ancient Cloak can only search the Phantom Knights card. It cannot search things like Fogblade. It cannot search things like Phantom Knight's Wing. It cannot, if it doesn't say the Phantom Knights, it cannot search it. That's a pretty important distinction I think you would need to know in order to play this deck. 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. If this card is in attack position, you can target 1 dark monster on the field. Change this card to defense position. If you do, that card gains 800 attack and defense until the end of your opponent's turn. That kind of comes up in order to make like your Rusty Bardiche a little stronger. But ultimately, you probably won't ever want to resolve that effect. You'll want to resolve its graveyard effect. Just you can banish this card from your graveyard and add the Phantom Knights card from your deck to your hand, except itself. This can be used to rota any of the Phantom Knights in your deck, or it can be used to add your Shade Brigandine, which can always be an extender. Next, this is pretty controversial, as for the longest time, Ragged Gloves was only a 1-of, and personally, I still see it as a 1-of. You never want to see more than 1 copy of this card. Why did I play it at 2? Well, for starters, I forgot that DDR is actually a card. So one of these can actually be a copy of DDR, or Different Dimension Return. I forget the card's actual name, but DDR is the acronym for it. And that would be like an extender. Plus, it could get bricks out of your hand. But Ragged Gloves is essentially a dark Xyz monster that was summoned using this card as Xyz material. Basically, just gains 1,000 attack, and then you can banish this card from your graveyard, and then you can Foolish a Phantom Knights card from your deck to your graveyard. So this can be used to get your Phantom Knight's wing into the graveyard and get a monster reborn. Next, for the last Phantom Knight, we're only running 1, the Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves. This card and more competitive versions of this deck, most competitive versions don't even play this card because it's seen as a brick. However, in this deck, that isn't as like competitively viable, because in a more competitive Phantom Knights build, you'll want to do things like play Artifact Scythe and have the Adventure Engine. But in this deck, like, Stained Greaves is an extender, and there are ways you can kind of control when you use it, because you special summon so many of the Phantom Knights monsters that an opportunity to use this card comes up. However, you don't want to ever use its level increasing effect, because by the time you actually resolve this effect, you've already summoned Cherubuni and you've already summoned Bardiche. So you'll just want it to make a Levier the Sea Dragon and summon back a banished Phantom Knight. And then, as I said, that is all for the Phantom Knight monsters. Let's get on to our various extenders. We're playing a Psychic lineup of 1 Tracker, 1 Wielder, and 3 E-Telly. They're all level 3s, and they can all special summon themselves by themselves, and then E-Telly is just, it's a free special summon from the deck that basically allows you to quickly either get to Cherubuni or allows you to get to Levier pretty fast. However, these are not darks, they are earths, so you cannot use them to make Bardiche. However, more often than not, after you resolve Cherubuni, you'll have enough material to make your Bardiche, so that usually does not come up. And then, just sort of your standard warrior extenders, 3 copies of Junk Forward, and then 3 copies of Kagemucha Knight. Kagemucha Knight special summons itself after on a normal summon when I normal summon a level 3 monster. When I normal summon a level 3 monster, you special summon this card from your hand, then cannot be used as synchro material, but we don't synchro summon in this deck, so it's fine. Then Junk Forward, if I control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. Basically, these are again more extenders. These are like you normal summon Tour Guide, chain this, boom, you have a Cherubuni already. Plus with the Tour Guide effect, you can get Graph. And then Junk Forward, you special summon Junk Forward, and then you can normal summon any one of your PKs or get any other extender too, and then you're doing good. That's all you can say. Then for the last 2 extenders that are just plain special summons, we have 1 copy of Terror Top and then 1 copy of Taketomborg. This was popularized by Burning Abyss decks when they would get they'd special summon Terror Top because they control the monsters, add Taketomborg, which you can special summon it because you control Terror Top. Then you just make you can make Cherubuni. I mean, pretty easy. All of this without using your normal summon too. Now here's an extender package that requires you to use your normal summon, but it's still pretty good and can actually, it opens up a line to an Apollousa Bow the Goddess play. 3 copies of Tour Guide of from the Underworld. On this card's normal summon, you can special summon one level 3 Fiend monster from your hand or deck, but negate its effects. Also cannot be used as synchro material. 1 copy of Graf, Malebranch of the Burning Abyss, and then its buddy Seer, Malebranch of the Burning Abyss. Basically, in an ideal hand, you'd be able to normal summon Tour Guide, and then chain Kagemusha Knight the chain block it. Special summon Graf from your deck, and then link Graf and Tour Guide into Cherubuni in either of your EMZs. Summon Seer off of Graf's effect into one of the zones, and then you could link into Bardiche, and then Seer would bring back your Cherubuni in order to allow you to, later on in your combo line, get into an Apollousa Bow of the Goddess. Now onto the spells and traps. These could be your one-ofs, but I'm playing the Phantom Knight's rank up Magic Force spell at 2. Like I said, I'm playing Xyz monsters, so this card is pretty cool. I prefer the Xyz build a lot better. It may not be as competitively viable, but I still just prefer it a little bit more. Then for your power one-ups, because you don't play many spells in this deck, 1 copy of Rhoda, 1 Upstart, 1 Foolish, 1 Called By, 1 Monster Reborn. All of these one-ups serve a purpose. Rhoda gets you any of your Phantom Knights to your hand, but preferably the good ones that you want in your hand at least. Upstart draws you a card. Foolish Burial can send a monster from your deck to your graveyard, which in Phantom Knights is pretty insane. Called By stops hand traps, and Monster Reborn revives a monster. Now into the traps, we play a very small line of traps. We play 2 Fogblade, 1 Wing, and then 1 Shade Brigandine. Fogblade will be a part of your Go First End board. Wing is a reborn, and then Shade Brigandine is an extender. Originally, I was playing the Phantom Knight Sword, but I was like, I really don't have a purpose for this because I just send Wing, and more often than not, in a good hand, I'll really only need Wing to end on a full combo board, and Brigandine it helps get me to the Apollousa Bow the Goddess faster. Now into the extra deck. Alright, now onto the extra deck, you play 2 copies of the Phantom Knight's Break Sword. Once returned, you can attach 1 material from this card, then target 1 card you control, and then 1 card your opponent controls to destroy them. Then if this Xyz summon card is destroyed, you can target 2 the Phantom Knight's monsters with the same level in your graveyard, special summon them, and then increase their levels by 1. Then you are locked into Dark Monsters the rest of the turn. However, you do not resolve that second effect, the special summon from graveyard effect, literally at all on your first turn, so that Xenolock it doesn't come up in your first turn. On your second turn, maybe, if you play different, if you just run different stuff. 1 copy of Raider's Knight, 2 level 4 monsters, 2 level 4 dark monsters, I should say. You can detach 1 material from this card and then special summon from your extra deck 1 Phantom Knights, Raid Raptor, or Xyz Dragon Xyz monster that is 1 rank higher or lower than this card by using it as face-up material. And then the materials from this card transfer to that monster and it's treated as an Xyz summon. 1 copy of Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. I want to get a secret rare copy of this because it would look awesome. Either that or an ultimate rare. Probably an ultimate rare. I think that would look cool. Anyway, you can attach 2 materials from this card, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. If the attack becomes half its current attack, and if it does, this card gains that lost attack. You will almost never use this effect. You will almost never attack with this monster because you'll end up using the rank up spell to go into Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon, who gains the 2 effects if it has Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon as material. You can target an opponent's monster, and then their attack sinks to 0, and then Requiem gains all the attack. Then, when When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, detach one material from this card and negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card, and then special summon one Xyz monster from your graveyard. Nice way to swarm the field with Xyz monsters, and is also a pretty decent something that if you wanted to, you could end on this. Before Utopic Future Draco Future was printed, this was part of Phantom Knight's end board. Nowadays, it just isn't. If you really wanted to, you could. These are your flex spots. You could cut these two for Fortune Tune and Downward Magician, or you could cut them for like Nightmares if you really wanted to, or if you wanted to, you could cut them for more generic rank 4s, I guess. You could play Time Thief, Redoer. You could play Baguska. Baguska is a card you could also play too. But those are just some options. For now, I'll probably eventually experiment with cutting these two because I like them, but they're definitely like meant for flavor. One copy of Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Now this card actually has actual purpose to it. Basically, it can become one big beat stick. When you detach material from it, it gains the attack of all monsters on the field. So say your opponent has a boosted Eldritch, the Golden Lord. You just start summoning Phantom Knight monsters just to make this guy as big as possible. You can just punch your opponent for you. Then, 2 copies of Levier the Sea Dragon. Generic rank 3 monster that allows you to recur your banished Phantom Knights. Because most likely you're going to be banishing Phantom Knights, not any other card, unless you're going to use the rank up spell in the case you want to banish your BAs. But Levier the Sea Dragon will ultimately get put into Utopic F-Zero, Utopic Future, and then number F-Zero, Utopic Draco Future. Basically, this just serves as a bunt. This can serve as 3 monster negates. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. And you also take the monsters that you negate. You could technically also use this too, but come on, that's the true star of the show right there. Then finish for the last Xyz, we were playing 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, Sky Thunder. Basically, like I said, you could play Downward Magician and you could end on like a 4 material Zeus. But Zeus isn't that good this format though. I think after Power of the Elements, Zeus might be on the come up again. But currently Zeus is not the greatest card ever, so again, this could also technically be a flex spot if you wanted to. And you could play more links. You could play Evil Swarm Ophion too if you really wanted to. And then basically what this does is you detach 2 materials from it and it wipes the board. It sends every card on the field to the graveyard. And then that's also a that's not a once per turn. So your opponent like tries to impermanence it, you just burn another 2 materials, and then the board gets sent anyway. 1 copy of Cherubuni Ebon, Angel of the Burning Abyss. It requires 2 level 3 monsters, and then an effect that really only comes up in Burning Abyss. Monsters the card points to cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then you can send one level 3 monster from your deck to your graveyard, and target a Burning Abyss monster you control in the field. That is cost. The send is cost, and we don't care about the attack game. We just care about the send. 1 copy of Bardiche. This card is finally at 3 again, but we do not play 3 copies because you really only need 1 Bardiche. You can easily recur this with your Wing and your Fog Blade, so needing to play more than this it's just unnecessary. That's all I can say. During a main phase, you can Foolish one the Phantom Knight's monster from your deck to your graveyard, and then set a Phantom Knight spell or trap directly from your deck to your spell and trap card zone. This is used to help set up your end board with your Fog Blades, and it can also serve as extension. Then, if a Dark Xyz monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to while this card is on the field, except during the damage step, you can target 1 card on the field, destroy it. That's pretty good. Then, 1 Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy. This can be used to out problematic cards like DPE, because DPE is still a pretty difficult card for this deck to kind of manage unless you're just maining your topic Draco Future. Like Dark helps out a lot, and it can also help with extensions. Like if you want to play Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Unicorn is a pretty decent card. Then one copy of Apollo Sabo, the Goddess. Basically, it negates monster effects. I mean, that's just it. Like your end board can be a topic Draco Future and a 3-material Apollosa. And I mean, yeah, that some decks that's pretty hard to beat. And plus, you get 2 Fog Blades in the back row. Like that's pretty good, dude. Alright, that was my Phantom Knights deck profile. Like I said, I'm not totally done with this deck yet. I might do some tweaking in the future. Like I said, DDR is definitely a card worth considering. And then the flex spots in the extra deck obviously are worth looking into as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile, and I'll see you guys all in another video.